Welcome to For the Love of Art with me, Angela Pearden.
Today we will be painting this spring bunny in watercolor. The colors that we'll be using today are raw umber, which is right here, burnt umber, which is right here, sepia. We'll do an indigo Payne's gray mixture, which is right here. We'll have burnt sienna, which is right here. We'll do Indian red, which is right here. Then we'll have olive green sap green mixture, which is right here. Then we'll do olive green sap green and burnt umber, which is right here. And then we'll do the burnt sienna burnt umber mixture, which is right here. No, right here. And each one, I have a video teaching you how to create your watercolor palette by using a reference photo, and I will tag that into the description or on the video. You can find our traceable, all my traceables in our Facebook group For the Love of Art. And, you can print them out and use them. And so today, the first thing I'm going to start with is the background. I'll just use a number 12 flat brush. It's by Low Cornell, number 12, or well, it's a shader brush. And so I'm going to go in right here. This still has a little bit of color on my brush. I'll do like a hatchet. And go horizontal and vertical. I'm just putting the water down. Now I'll go in with a little bit of the raw umber. Just do vertical and horizontal lines. Now I'll go into the burnt umber. And do the same thing, vertical and horizontal. Get a little bit of water on my brush. Okay, now I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm going to blot up a little bit of this. And grab a little bit more water. And I'll put that on the edge right here. And blot it up. I'm going to grab a little bit more of the raw umber. Okay, now I'll go along the top here, which is water. Kind of go vertical and horizontal again. And there we go. And now we'll go into the raw umber again. Kind of go down and up with it. And side to side and up and down. And now I'll go into the burnt umber again and do the same thing. And there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my paper towel and I'm going to blot some of this up. And there we go. I'm going to go ahead and put some water over that so I can blot up a little bit more of it. Just going in with water and blotting it out. Okay, and I'll go along the bottom here. And just water. Now I'm going in with a raw umber. And go ahead into the burnt umber. And go ahead and blot some of that out. Let me go ahead and do my reference photo here. Let's see. Now I will go ahead and put in the shadow underneath the bunny. So I'm going to switch my brush. I'm going to use the Faber-Castell number 6 round. And I'm going to go into the sepia color. Okay, and then it comes all the way around. The shadow does. There we go. Pull it all the way into the edge there. Get a little bit more of that sepia. Then it kind of goes. Let me make that a little bit darker. And it follows the foot all the way around. Very close to the foot on this side. And then it goes, let's see, from the tip right here, there's a little shadow. And there we go. That's the shadow of the carrot. Get some water on my brush. I'm going to go ahead and pull out a little bit of that color. We will deepen up this shadow as we go along within the painting. Okay, now we got a little bit of a lighter shadow. Let's see. I'm going to grab some of this sepia and put it over here, make a lighter value of it by adding more water to it. And then we kind of, let's see, I'll go all the way in right here. This kind of comes in right here. There we go. It's kind of making a surface that the bunny is sitting on. Go in with some more sepia. And there we go. And let's see, there's a little bit darker shadow right in here. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and let that dry. I'm going to take my little scrubber brush here and take a little bit of that out of the carrot. If it don't completely lift, that's okay. It'll blend in. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead in with my shader brush again. I'm going to go into just water. This is all still wet. I'm just going to place water down on my paper for now. You want to make a sheen of water, not a puddle of water. And there we go. All right, now I'm going to go into the, let's see, that is the raw umber. I'll go ahead and make a much lighter value of that. And there we go. Then I'll dab that up. I just want a very light wash. I'm going to go ahead and dab that with my dry paper towel. Okay. Go ahead, grab a little bit more water, a little bit more paint, and make a very light value of that. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and dab that off. And there we go. Then on this side, I'm going to add a little bit more burnt umber, darken it up a little bit. Tap that in. Let's see. Put a little bit in here. Just a little bit. There we go. Going with a raw umber again. I'm going to dab that up. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and blow dry this. So I'm going to start on the bunny. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with my number 6 Faber-Castell again. And I'm going to do a light wash of the raw umber in the bunny here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put water down on my watercolor paper. I'm working on Fabriano Artistico 100% cotton hot pressed watercolor paper, or cold pressed watercolor paper. Let me make sure it's cold pressed. Yes, cold pressed. And there we go. So now I'll do a light wash of this within the bunny. We'll be putting in bits of fur. So this will be covered. This is just the under layer of the fur. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and dab a little bit of this out, make it a little lighter. Because it will dry much darker. There we go. Now put some water on the little cheeks here. We won't puddle the water, but we will put a small sheen of water here. Okay, now we'll get that raw umber again. Right up along that edge. There we go. Put some on this side. I'm going to tap that out. Okay. I'm going to take my little scrub brush that I use. I don't know the name of it, but it's a flat brush. It's a very stiff bristled brush. I'm going to go ahead and take some of that out of there. There we go. It got into the eye a little bit, but that's okay. Let's lift it out. Now I'll go into the body and do the same thing. I'll just put a little wash of color. You can probably hear my dog drinking and eating behind me. There we go. Just do a small sheen of water. Okay, now we'll take some of that raw umber again. Just kind of go over all this with a small little amount. I'm going to go ahead and dab some of that up. And do the same thing on this side. I got some more water, put it in my brush into the palette and added a little bit more color in there. There we go. Go ahead and dab that up a little bit. And then we'll do the same thing here along the bottom and the feet. And grabbed a little bit more water so I could spread it out. Then we'll go in here on this side. Here we go. Grab a little bit of that color. And we'll darken up the shadows underneath the bunny once we get the bunny painted in. Okay, I'm going to dab a little bit of that up. I'm going to do the same thing with the ears here. Let's see. You know, I don't have to do that in the ears. The ears are much darker than the rest of the body. So I'm going to go ahead and blow dry this real quick. Okay, now that this is fully dry, we will go in with my rake brush, which is a filbert. It's also called like an ombre brush. There's different names for brushes like this. This is a generic one. It does not have a name to it. But if you look up rake brush, you'll find them. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is go in with let's see, this is the raw umber. I'm going to work light to dark because it's watercolor. Okay, so I'm going to start here at the tip of the nose. And let's see, kind of goes around like that. And kind of goes up a little bit here. So the important thing is to put your brush strokes in the direction of the hair growth. So this one kind of comes up over, kind of like this. Okay, now we'll go kind of this way. And then kind of breaks, leave a little gap in between the dark hair here and here. So I'll go along this eye right here. There we go. And sometimes I use only one by turning the brush. Sometimes I use all three. And this will go all the way up. And do small little strokes, kind of like right in here. And there we go. And then we'll come down a little bit right here. And you definitely want to go in the direction of the hair growth. And put a little bit in right here. And there we go. Let's see, we'll put a little bit in through here. Advance that. There we go. Kind of go up a little bit. Then let's see, we'll kind of come out right in here, put a little bit in there. There we go. Now we will kind of go around the little nose area. Kind of make a little half circle with your brush strokes. Follow in the direction of the hair growth. Okay. We're going to be doing this in a few different little layers. Okay. Now we'll also go along this edge. Now I'm gonna turn my painting so you can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna kind of go from the inside of the cheek out. And then it comes down. And this fluffs from, let's see, under here. Well, I made too big of a Let me go ahead and take my little scrubber brush. Kind of pull a little bit of that up. There we go. Didn't pull up too much, but that's okay. It'll blend in. I'll be putting darker over that. And add a little bit more water. And there we go. So I'm going to pull from, I'm going to make that darker. Now, I'm only leaving the color in the tip of the bristles. I'm going to take it out of the thicker part of the bristles here. Well done. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere with it. And then that'll go all the way to the carrot right here. Okay. Now on this side over here, it kind of goes, I'm going to go ahead and turn it. It kind of goes the same thing around the little nose, but it goes a little further out because his little cheek is pressed up against the carrot. Let's go a little darker. I underestimated the amount of pigment that I needed in that. There we go. Okay, and then along this little cheek, kind of goes here. Grab a little bit more. Okay, so it kind of comes up like right in here. There we go. I'll turn that so I can kind of there we go. Now we're going to go ahead and do that to the bottom half of the bunny. And so it kind of comes down. The fur kind of comes down from in here downwards. There we go. Let's see, this kind of comes down this way and out. We'll go in with a detail brush to kind of put individual hair strokes. And then kind of goes up and over here. And it's kind of darker in there, so I'm going to leave that for now. We'll put the shadows in here in a little. in a little bit. And then this kind of comes down right here. This is only our first little layer of the fur. And then let's see. There's some that comes kind of like this, where the little hand starts. Kind of starts to change direction. And this kind of comes down like this. And there we go. And it will come together. I'm going to go ahead and turn this so I can do its little paw. And then this kind of goes like that. You want to leave lots of that background in there. Okay. Now we'll do the same thing on this side over here. This kind of goes down like that. Kind of at an angle. And then this kind of comes down like this. Let's get a little bit darker on there. And this, yeah. And it's okay if it goes into that carrot. And this kind of goes at a curve. There we go. And we'll put a lot more detail into this. And then these guys kind of and there we go. There we go. Now we'll go down from under here. There we go. Let's pull it down. And the same thing within here. This kind of curves. Like that. So if it goes into two, you can kind of pull it back out like that. So you get more brush strokes. And then this kind of starts coming down this way. And there we go. And this kind of goes out a little bit. kind of pull those bristles like that. Okay, and this kind of comes at an angle, and then it comes down from this direction. And this comes all the way over this. There we go. We will soften all this up with more layers. Okay, I'm going to kind of pull those bristles out a little bit and kind of fan them out. And there we go. Okay, so this one is kind of like little C strokes. And that kind of comes down like that. And then this one is a C stroke on both sides. And then that one just goes one way. Okay. Now with this we will, let's see. Kind of just pull some little fur, some little hairs. All the way to the tip there. And we have a little bit within here. Okay. We'll do the same thing on this side. Just kind of pull a few little hairs. And then it goes around here as well. On this side. It's a little bit darker on this side. Let's see. It kind of goes like that. Okay. Now I'm going to go in with my Fuumuui extended pointed number 4. And I will go into the burnt umber with that. And I'll go ahead and start darkening up some of these areas. Okay. You want to do this sparingly. I'm just getting over a cold, so I'm probably clearing my throat a lot more than usual. There's a little bit darker area right in here. There we go. Now we'll go in and in here. And then we'll go right in here. Okay, now I'm going to take my pointed oval wash. And I'm going to blend this out a little bit. I have a very damp brush. Go ahead and blend that as well. Okay, there we go. Let's grab some more of the umber. And we'll go right in here with a little bit of it. There we go. Going very sparingly. I'm going to turn my painting. Okay, so we'll go at the bottom here. Kind of flick a little bit of these out. There we go. Now I'm going to take my oval wash, or my pointed oval, and I'm going to kind of soften up this bit. I have only water on my brush. I'm just going to soften these edges. ahead and soften it down here a little bit. Grab a little bit more burnt umber there. Now I'll go ahead and pull some of these bits, these little hairs out. And let's see, it goes all the way up, kind of under the eye here. There we go. So does this one. Kind of comes around under the eye. And this kind of comes out right in here. And take my pointed oval again. Kind of smooth that out a little bit. There we go. And this is the same thing, kind of come out right here, then it flips upwards. Okay, take my pointed oval and I'll blend that a little bit. All right, now we're going to go in to the body. And so now we're going to try and make kind of clumps of fur. Right in here. And this is a lot darker in here. Okay, let's see. And then we have a few hairs that come out this way. And then we have some that kind of do little clumps here. And this is kind of like a weird pattern of hair right here. There we go. Okay, so now this kind of is a little darker in here. Let me pick some of that up. Go ahead and dampen my brush. Pick a little bit of that up. There we go. And we'll go ahead and blend this in just a little bit. Make those lines a little softer. Same with up here. I'm just scumbling over. There we go. Let's see, this kind of goes like that. Okay. I'm going to take my damp brush. Go ahead and blend that out. Okay. We'll be going over that quite a bit. And so we'll make it even more detailed. Okay, so now I'm going to go under this little area. I'm pressing harder on my brush so that the strokes are not as small. And I'm going to go ahead and take my pointed oval and blend that in. Okay, so I blended all those lines out. And we'll go over it again because it's darker in this area, the chin area, well, under the chin area. And I'll be going over that with a darker color and putting those furs in. Okay, now we'll go with this red, or the umber. Let's see, kind of goes like this. And this kind of comes this way. And there we go. And then we got some smaller lines through here. Okay. Now we'll take a very damp brush. Blend it out in the direction of the fur. Kind of go along that line. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and paint in paws. And this one comes kind of like around and down. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and take my pointed oval. Just make it very damp. Go ahead with the body. I know that it looks real rough right now, but it'll soften up as we go. So put that down, take my pointed oval. Okay. There we go. Gonna just blend that into each other. I'm going to blend that a little more while it's still fresh. Just took quite a bit of water here. There we go. Now we'll go in right here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and blend that in. Okay. Kind of pull down clumps of hair. And then I'll blend it in. Okay. Now we'll go along this arm. let's see. And this kind of comes over here. And there we go. Now I'll take my pointed oval. And blend that in. There we go. And then it comes like this. That comes down like this. Okay, now we'll go on the other side. And this kind of comes down like this. And this one comes down like that. Okay, and now I'll blend that out just a little bit with a damp brush. It's got a little bit of water in that brush. Remember that when you're painting to step back and take a look at your painting, because we definitely have a lot of small strokes in here. And so walking away from it and coming back will help determine where you need to go from there. Take lots of deep breaths so you don't hold your breath when you're painting. If you do that, I hold my breath when I'm painting. I've had to teach myself over the years not to do that. So I'm just going over the edge of this line where the arm is at and making it a little darker in there. And right in here. So I'm not a traditional watercolorist. I do use white in my paintings, or I'll use Bleedproof white. It's going along the edge of that. And let's see, so now we'll bring some of these strokes down just a little bit. There we go. And curving left and right with my brush strokes. And there we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my pointed oval with a good amount of paint on it, or water on it. I'll go ahead and scumble those colors together. I might use my scumble brush. It's a firmer bristle brush. Okay, and while that's wet, I'll go in with some more. Let's see. And this kind of comes like this, more at an angle. And there we go. And then it kind of straightens back out here. Let's see. This kind of has a more clumps. There we go. So now I'm going to go in along the line of this foot and kind of dab in a little bit darker there, where the fur of the body overlaps onto the foot there. I'm going to take I'll use my scrubber brush. Kind of in little circles, kind of blend that together. Let's get a little bit more wet. There we go. Okay. And do the same thing over here, darken it up a little bit. And kind of curves right here. There we go. We'll be going over that again. And then, let's see, we'll bring it on a few little hairs. Right in here. Make that darker. There we go. And kind of tap that in. Now we'll go into the top of the ears up here at the top. I'm going to go ahead and dab in right along the top of his head. Okay, now go up. Now I'm using a good amount of pressure so I'm not making super fine lines. On the edge here I'll make more fine lines. There we go. Pull this down just a little. There we go. Okay, let's see. Now I'm gonna kind of tap in a few little strokes around that edge. Okay. And I'll be going over that with a little bit darker and putting some more defined hairs in there. Go along this edge. Right along that traceable line. And we'll pull out some little hair strokes a little bit. Make some smaller strokes in here. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to go and turn my painting. Make your strokes in the direction of the hair growth. There we go. Go ahead and tap it in along that edge. Edge of the little head there. Okay. Doing the same thing on this side like we did the other side. bump that up just a little bit. There we go. I'll put more detail in there here in a little while. Let's see. I'm going to leave that like that. We'll go along this edge. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with a little bit more of this burnt umber. And I'm going to go ahead and blend out some of this cheek a little more. And I'll put very light pressure to make smaller lines. This brush holds a lot of paint, so when you press hard, it releases more paint. If you press light, it makes finer lines. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and with my little scrubber brush here, it's just a stiff bristled brush. Grab some of that. And then I'll kind of pull that color in and let it spread. And do the same thing on this side. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and with my scrub brush again, kind of take that color and add a little bit more there so it can kind of, so I just dropped in a little color that I can blend out. Into the little cheek here. And there we go. Make that a little darker. Okay, so now I'm going to go over this again. And there we go. Pull it down on the side here. Same thing on this side. And then we'll pull some up. There we go. Now we'll go in to the ears. kind of go in the direction of the hair growth. Keep the lines thin. Keep them keep them curved. There we go. The more layers we put, the more blended it'll get. Go ahead and take a little bit of that up. And let that dry, and then I'll go back over that. Okay. So now we'll go on this side. Pull some lines down. Little fur bits. Kind of pull out a few little fur bits from the ear. Okay. There we go. We'll blend that a little better here in a little bit. Give it time to dry. And put little bits in here. Get a little darker. There we go. You just gotta trust the process of the painting. Let it all turn out how you want it in the end. I paint all my paintings in layers. I'm gonna kind of put those ones back in up there. There we go. And I'll go up here again, make this a little darker. It's much darker in here. Let's see, this comes out like this right in here. There we go. As my paint is drying, the water's coming out of it, so it's making it a darker value. If you don't want the darker value just yet, just add a little bit more water to your palette. Let's see. Okay, now I'm going to turn this, kind of add some darker bits to each one of my little paws. Well, I guess I would call them little fingers. I don't know the term for it. Okay. So now we'll do the same thing on this side. We definitely need to bring some darker up in here. There we go. Let's see. Then we'll pull just a little bit through here. I'll go ahead and tap that in with my blender brush thing. And very lightly touching the painting. Okay, so now I'm gonna Go ahead on these paws. There we go. Do our little feet. Go ahead and blend that out a little bit. I went in the wrong direction with my brush stroke right here. Okay. Let's see, how does that go? That kind of just comes out like that. So now we're defining these little toes. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit more water to this. Okay. And I'm going to go back up here. Add a few little bits. And I'll go in on this side, add a little bit here. There we go. Go ahead and take my blender brush. Okay, I'm gonna take a couple bits down like this. And tap that in. Okay. Oh no, why rinse my brush out? I do that sometimes when I don't need to. Let's see. Oh. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and dry this real quick. Then we'll go into blending it and highlighting it. Okay, so now we're going to try and blend this in a little bit so it don't look so much like a porcupine and it looks more like a bunny rabbit. So I'm going to take my, let's see, number 4 round by Master's Touch. I'm going to try 2 different things. I'm going to go into, it's Holbein Watercolor Titanium White. It's the opaque white. If this don't cut it, then I will definitely go into my Bleedproof White by Dr. P.H. Martin. This is my first time trying out this titanium white for this method that I'm about to do, so we'll see how it works. Okay. Grab my scrubber brush. So I'm just gonna go in. I'm just putting it in the direction of the fur. Okay, let's see. I might go ahead in with the number 6 Faber-Castell. Just kind of blend that together. Blend those colors in together. The white with the browns. Kind of soften up those lines. My Faber-Castell brush is damp with water. It's more on the wet side than the damp side. Okay, let's grab a little bit more. Let's see. Rinse that off. And we'll go ahead and see. Add a little bit more white in here. And we'll do the same thing on the paws. Grab a little bit more. Okay, now we'll take our damp Faber-Castell brush and go ahead and blend that together. We'll let this dry and I'll see how well it did. Okay. And take a little bit in here. I'll take the brush with water on it, blend that in. Okay. Grab a little bit more on my brush. There we go. I'll take my brush with only water, kind of blend those together. Just do a little bit in here. Okay. Add a little bit of that white in here, a little bit on the paws. Take the brush with only the water on it and blend it in. And grab a little bit more of the white. Okay. Okay, perfect. That looks good. Now we'll go into the ear. Okay, just going with a water only, kind of blend those together. Okay, I'll grab a little bit more water. We still have to add our sepia browns into this. Okay, now we'll blend this side. If you like the look of it without blending it, you can keep that look. There we go. Go ahead and rinse those out. I think I'm kind of liking the titanium white, so I won't have to go in with a bleed-proof white. So now I'm going to go in and do the pink of the ears. And let's see, we'll go into the Indian red. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a wash. Just water down first. Let's see if I can see that sheen of water. Okay, now go into the Indian red. There we go. Grab just water on my brush. I'm going to lift up a little bit of that. Pushing it towards the edge. I'm pulling a little bit of that color off my brush. So I'm moving that color around and lifting. Okay, now we'll do the other side. Okay, I'm going to turn this just a little bit so I can lift a little bit of this color. to take my scrubber brush. I'm going to pull it off the ear right here. Then I'm going to pull it off the ear on this side. There we go. And take just a titch more of that. There we go. And add a little bit darker here. And then I'll take my pointed oval. And I'll pull this out. Well, that one's not going to work. Let me get my Faber-Castell. Very damp brush. There we go. Perfect. And I'll add the darker colors into this a little later. Right now we're gonna let all that dry. Let's see, we're gonna go ahead and get my smaller liner brush. I'm gonna go ahead into this Indian red. I believe that's what it's called. Yep, Indian red. I'm gonna go ahead and put that color into the nose. And we'll be putting that really dark sepia color around it. Okay, so now I'm going to use my liner brush. And I'm going to go into the sepia color, which is right here. And we have dark along these tips. And now we'll go ahead and go over this ear. Let's see. Pulled out some of these fuzzies. There we go. We'll get a little bit of water to blend this in just a little bit right here. There we go. Let's see, the sepia. And then we'll put a little bit of sepia in here. And there we go. Now we'll go in on this side. Okay. And we have some sepia color right in here. Okay, and then we have quite a bit of dark in here. And get some in here. And then it goes on this side. Make much smaller brush strokes with the sepia. And there we go. And then we have, let's see, much darker red in. Well, let's do the nose first. I'm going to turn this so I don't mess it up. Okay. So in here, there's quite a lot of shading from the sepia, because this is where the shadow is, where his little cheek goes up over the carrot. So we'll kind of go over it like that. I'll grab my little scrubber brush. That blends right into the top of the mouth here. Okay. And that goes all the way into the carrot right here. Okay, there we go. Now we have some sepia that is in here. And that goes all the way around his body. I'm just doing small little dabs there. And then it comes out and down the little hair still from the dark shadow. And then this shadow kind of disappears into the carrot. Kind of like that. Okay. And then we have some really dark bits right here. Definitely within here. I'm going to kind of pull that out with my finger. Push that up with my finger. Oop. There we go. And sometimes your finger is your best blending tool. I'm going to go ahead and pull that. Okay. Let's see. The sepia goes up in between these little, in between his little paws, his little toes on his paws. And so I'm just going to kind of pull some of this out, blend it with my finger. And this one, this is the shadow to the carrot. It's definitely darker right there. And there we go. Now let's see what we'll do for the eyes. I think we're gonna go into the blue first. It is the indigo and Payne's gray. And then we'll put our shadows around the eyes when we're done. Okay, let's see. Okay. Now we'll do the other side. Okay. And let that dry. Let's see. Go ahead and take up a little bit of the color. Okay. I think I'm gonna go with a wash of the burnt sienna. Just over this to see if it blends it in just a little better. Okay. And I'm going to go on this side, kind of blend out that line right there. Much better. I'll do the same thing over here. Kind of blend this a little better. Much better. I'm just going over this with a wet brush to blend it in better. And that softened that up quite a bit. Okay, that's good. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and blow dry this so I can work on that pupil of the eye. Okay, so now that it's dry, I'm going to take my liner brush. Before I go into, well, I can go into the pupil a little bit right now. Let me go into the sepia. And I'm going to go ahead and on the outside of this, I'm going to go ahead and on this side, add the sepia right along the edge of that blue. There's a little highlight right there that we'll paint around, and a little highlight right here that we'll paint around. If you paint over your highlight, it's okay. We can put it back with the white. Okay, and then we have some on the line of this blue. And there we go. And then we'll fill in the pupil. Which I may end up going over this pupil with black or Payne's gray. And seeing how that's already on our palette. So go over it with the sepia, and then we'll go over that with the Payne's gray. There we go. We'll let that dry, and then we'll go over that with the Payne's gray. And we'll do the other side. I got a shaky hand because I should probably turn my page. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn it so I can. That way I can see it better. Okay. And I know that there's like a little highlight here, so I'm gonna kind of make it. And then there's a little highlight right here. Oh, I went in a little further, but that's all right. Okay, I'll leave that be for right now, and then we'll go over it with Payne's Gray and touch it up. So I'm going to take this sepia and I'm going to make little darker bits here and there, right along the head. Kind of like that. Let's see. Well, I'll have to go over the pull in a little bit of this. And blend that down just a little bit. There we go. And let me see, I'm going to go in with my scrubber brush here. And kind of push in that sepia towards the eyeball. I'm just making that line softer. Kind of reshaping it just a little bit. Okay, that's much better. And I'll soften this line out here. There we go. And do the same thing on this side. And kind of see that blue a little bit. Try and push it into the eye. So I'm just lifting up a very tiny bit of color. Okay. I'm going to fix that. I'll put that back in. Let's see how that goes. It's more kind of like rounded. So I need to take my, I'll let that dry and I'll make that a little more rounded on that side. And I'll take my liner brush. Where is it? There it is. I'm going to take that sepia. And then we have a little line that comes right here. And I will blend that out. Now put in the little eyelashes once this dries. And I'll pull this in just a little bit. And there we go. That should be dry enough now. Go ahead and put that back in. And there we go. And I'll go ahead and flick out some lashes. Get that a little darker. Okay, so we'll do the same thing on this side. So a little bit comes up from about right here. Let me turn it so I don't mess it up. And then it comes out from the edge here. And there we go. Let me turn it this way. I'll let that dry and then I'll go over it again. I'll go ahead and put in some little dots for whiskers. Let's see. There we go. It should be good. Okay. Maybe one more whisker right here. think I need to go with much darker sepia over that. So I want it to almost look black, not brown. There we go. Okay. And darken those up and fix the little whiskers. And grab my little scrubber brush. And it's kind of blending that out, making it a thinner line. And there we go. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this. So now we're going to go into our carrot. And I'm going to use, let's see, my number 4 round Master's Touch. I'm just going to go ahead and wet the whole carrot. You can probably hear my roosters crowing. I have lots of animal noises in my background because I have lots of animals. Okay. Let's put a little bit in here. Try and go in between these little fingers. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the, what color was that we used? The burnt sienna. added more water to it to kind of dilute it down a little bit. Let's put a wash of this color throughout the whole carrot. It's kind of going in between these little hairs that we put from the paw. And I'm going to turn this just a little bit so I can see it better. Oh, I got it into my paw. I'll go ahead and grab my scrubber brush and lift that out. I can always put brown over it to hide it, but I try not to do that. Okay. So now I'm gonna drop in a little bit of the what colors was it? The burnt umber with the raw sienna for the shadows. I'm just gonna kind of drop that in right along where the hands are. And then there's a little bit right in here. And a little bit right in here. Okay. And I'll go in with some more just raw sienna. Drop that in. My phone is vibrating. I turned off the ringer, but I forgot to turn off the vibration on my cell phone. Kind of just zappy. I'm gonna pick that up right there. We got onto my shoulder. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and dry this, and then I'll lift out some highlights. Okay, so now I'm going to lift out some highlights and lift out the color right here. Try and pull that color out. I'm probably going to make a little bit of a mess here, but I will fix it. I'll let that dry, and then I'll retouch up the curve of that of the carrot. So I'm going to leave that be to dry. I'm not going to touch it. And I'll lift up some highlights. I'm going to go ahead and turn this. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and pull out a little highlight here. Kind of like going down. Kind of like back and forth here. Just kind of scumble it out. And then, let's see, it kind of goes to the front of this. And then there's a little bit down here. So okay. And there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my liner brush. I'm going to go into the, which color is this? Indian, no, it's not Indian red. It is burnt sienna. I'm going to go ahead and where these little lines are, I'm going to go ahead and put in a few little lines. In the curve of the carrot. There we go. These lines are kind of curved a little bit. They're not straight. And we'll go on this side, create some more. Pick up that a little bit. I like this color because it lifts really easily. Not all colors do. All right, so I'll let that be. Now I'm going to go in with my sepia. I'm going to go ahead and dab in my little brown bits of the carrot. Let's see, there's one right here. There's a little one right there. Okay. And I'm going to go into my little paw. And I'm going to go, let's see, let me put a little bit more water into my burnt umber. I need to grab a little bit of more burnt umber out of my palette. Let's see. Burnt umber is next to the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 5th in. Grab a little bit out of my palette. And there we go. I need to kind of make my little paws back a little bit. Let's see. Okay, I'll lighten that up. I'm gonna take my little scrubber brush. There we go. Now I'm going to go into the green. I'm going to use my, let's see, we'll use this, the Fuumuui round, or Fuumuui pointed, extended pointed number 4. I'm going to first go into, let's see, the dark, or the lighter color green. That will be the, it is olive green, sap green mix. It's more towards olive than sap, very little bit of sap green. So I'm going to go ahead and put in these little bitty circles right here. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull up some of these. And we'll add the dark into it here in a minute to define those little bitty circles. Okay. And we'll add the darker color into all these for the shadow. Okay. Okay. Now let's see. I'll go into this darker green. That is the sepia, or no, it is the olive green, sap green, and burnt umber. Very little burnt umber and very little sap green added to the olive green. Okay, let's see. We'll add a little bit in here. And a bit in here. Okay. And I'll go into the olive green, sap green, the lighter mixture. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn this. There we go. Once this dries, I'll go in and define it better with the darker green. Okay. we go. I'm going to go ahead and blow dry this so I can separate the leaves a little bit with some shadows. Okay, so now I'm going to take my liner brush. Where did I set it? There it is. I'm going to go with my darker green mixture here. And I'm going to go ahead and pull a little bit of shadows through this. Kind of like, there we go. And I'll pull one up here. Pull this one kind of like that. There we go. And I'll go from here up. Then I'll pull one along this edge. There we go. Just do a little bit. I'm going to dab a little bit along this edge with that dark green. And along that edge. And I'm going to take my light green. And kind of dab it in right here. I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm going to pull some of that up. There we go, perfect. I'm going to take the color of my carrot, which is the burnt sienna. Go ahead and fix this little part. Then I'll dab it up just a little bit along that edge. So it kind of blends in good. And there we go. Now I'm going to take I'm just doing touch-ups now. I'm going to take my scrubber brush and I'm going to see if I can take out a little bit of highlight in here. Just lift up a little bit of that paint. There we go. There we are. And then anywhere else, let's see. I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and dry this and take the tape off so we can sign it. Okay, so this is our finished piece. I'm going to go ahead and sign it. I'm going to go into the blue gray mixture that we have. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and sign it with my Micron pen. So I'll go right here. I like signing with a Micron pen way better than in watercolor. Let me pull this down just a little bit. There we go. I hope y'all enjoyed this. If you paint this, I would love it if you could post your finished painting so I can see it. I would absolutely love to see your painting if you follow along with this tutorial. Thank you so much, and you guys have a blessed day.
Thank you so much for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe.